お頼み申す。つつじながら冥府は遺族。外道が笑えば民なら。所業に拉致なき沙汰あれば魔道の始末を受けます。我は武道の三品山。指導死に花無用の所存。
Guys, it has been a while, but let's talk about Baiken, alright? Let's go. So Baiken, I had a lot of misconceptions about this character. It's a character that I hate fighting. Well, I hated fighting rather. Even though the Mei matchup is pretty good for Mei, it's not a difficult matchup on paper. You know, you have all the tools needed to actually destroy Baiken, and most Baikens will tell you that it's difficult. Most Mei players will tell you that it's on their favor. So there's not much discussion in that sense. You know, but I hated it. It wasn't fun. A bunch of stuff didn't work. Baikens were always mashing Azami. It was such an unpleasant experience. But honestly, that was mostly because I didn't know the matchup. So it's 100% on me. And playing Baiken for 5 days made me realize that, you know what, her tools are not as difficult to deal with as I thought. I saw how people were dealing with them, and I also understood them better as I was using them myself. And it helped me a lot actually on the Mei matchup. So that's honestly a very good thing. However, I'm not here to talk about the Mei versus Baiken matchup. The character itself, it's a very fun character to play. I really enjoy it. It's pretty cool. And I was actually surprised. I thought I was gonna be bored out of my mind playing this character. You know, very simple, just Azami everything, learn 1 or 2 combos like some Oki and just call it a day and just loop the same stuff. Very floor charty. But it's very far from truth actually. I was actually required to think quite a bit while playing the character, and I was surprised. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, and that's pretty much it basically. The character is a very fun one, but I want to talk more about the likes and dislikes a bit more in detail. So let's go to that, alright? Let's talk about the likes first. Cool, so what did I like about Baiken? Well, the very first thing, it's her combos. Her combos, for the most part, are not that complicated if you want to go for the basic stuff. You can get them down very quickly. There are some tricky things, like for example, the timing of the air dash after you get the first part of the loop. That part is a bit tricky to get down, but once you get it down, it feels great to land. Landing those jump D loops feels great. You know, it's such a cool combo. It looks cool, it looks badass, it feels badass. It just fits Baiken so well, right? And for the most part, the combos don't really change between the character weights. It remains fairly similar with some very little tweaks, but I'm gonna go more into that a bit later since it's something that's very important to the character. The next thing that I really liked was actually her gameplay and the way the neutral played. For the most part, almost every Baiken I fought just runs away and does tatami all game. That's of course a very valid strategy, and it's very good against impatient people like myself. But you can play many different ways. You can play by using Azami a lot. You can play by using the chain a lot, or claw rather. You can play by using a lot of QA tatami. You can play by doing tatami wear C all the time, or just go crazy basically. It's up to you. She's a very open-ended character, even though the most effective way to fight most people is just playing very defensively and very slippery. For the most part, you can do whatever you want, and it's actually great because once you get in and you get your knockdown, the momentum goes in your favor a lot. So yeah, it's a very basic playstyle, but it's very open-ended, and that also goes for my third like, which is a lot of room for my improvisation. So what do I mean by this? Well, as I said, since she's a very open-ended character, you can do pretty much whatever you want as long as you have the execution for it. The best example I can put, and the most simple one, it's basically with combos. So depending on how your combos hit, you're gonna have to do little adjustments here and there for them to work. Sometimes you're gonna skip one of the normals in your attack and your combo, sorry, and some other times you're not gonna do it. And it depends on what you want. Do you want the knockdown? Do you want the damage? Do you want both? And it's up to you to choose what you want. And to me, that's something that's really cool in a character. Mei can be played that way. It's kind of how I play it myself. I mostly just improvise stuff with her. I have of course the basic BNBs, but I adjust them a lot depending on what I want. And the fact that Baiken also has the same sort of playstyle in that sense, it's very interesting to me, and I really liked it. I think that's the thing I liked the most with the character actually, how open-ended she felt. But of course not everything is positive. We have to talk about the negatives too. And there's not that many actually, surprisingly, but there's 2 that were kind of annoying to deal with. So let's talk about the dislikes. the number one thing is that there are some matchups that are absolutely horrendous to deal with. Namely the Potemkin matchup. If you talk to any Baiken player, they're gonna tell you that this matchup is horrible. At first, I thought they were just joking around. You know how everyone has a matchup that they're like, oh, this is horrible, I don't like playing it, no, it sucks. And for the most part, they're exaggerating, right? But then I started playing against Potemkin and I couldn't use half my tools. Half my tools were rendered useless because using any of those tools would mean you will get Potemkin busted. For example, if you go end up block string into claw, he can Potemkin buster you. If you misspace a Gear Tatami, you get... Sorry, not Gear Tatami. If you misspace a Tatami, you get fucked. If you do a claw, you get fucked. Sorry for the language, but it is what it is, and it happened way too often. I don't think I've ever fought a matchup where I felt so naked in that sense, where I just have to rely 100% on just my normals and my grab game, and that's it. Everything else was just deleted. I just couldn't do anything with it. Maybe it's because I was maybe biased from what all the Baiken players were telling me, but to me that matchup felt horrible. So in my opinion, if you're willing to deal with something like that, then more power to you. But for me, having a matchup like that that's so bad to the point where I want to have another character to play it, it's not a very good thing in a character, in my opinion. And the next thing is that there's a lot of character specific stuff, namely with Azami. You cannot just abuse Azami all the time. We're gonna go more into detail in the tips part, of course, but you cannot Azami everything as much as you want. You cannot do the combos however you want. The different weights require different combos, and they have little adjustments that are not that big, but it would require you to lab them if you actually want to be able to land them consistently. Namely, the lightweight combo is slightly more difficult than the normal weight and the heavyweight combos. It took me a bit longer to deal with characters like Milia or like any of the girls in the game because of how lightweight works. Made me whiff a lot and made me lose a lot of matches because of dropped combos. It was a bit annoying. But if you're someone that doesn't like having a lot of character specific stuff like myself, then that might be a complete deal breaker for you. I like being consistent across the board. You know, that's just me. Kind of annoys me having to go on training mode all the time to find stuff. I just want the stuff to remain the same, man. But that's something else, right? That's just another story. Cool, and now it's time for the tips and tricks. Hope you guys are ready because I got a bunch of really good stuff here. You better be ready, man. Wait, who's there? Who's knocking on the door right now? Man, can they notice that I'm filming a video? Well, I'm recording a video rather. It's not the time for that. Let's see who it is.
Hello, puny human. I've invaded Korea. I saw your Twitch streams on twitch.tv/softjellyfish, and I noticed that you are a Baiken player. I want to recruit you to my squid army. You can join my army by following me on twitch.tv/squidguy_Baiken, and I will help you become a better Baiken player so you can help me invade the world. What's this? It's a script? Beginner Baiken tips. Sorry, but these are awful. Here's what you should do instead. I have 3 important tips for beginner Baiken players. The first tip: to address the elephant in the room, I recommend starting out without using Azami in any capacity. Baiken is of course a parry character, but to correctly parry an attack, you need to understand your opponent's offense to a certain extent, and wanting to use Azami to force respect also requires a knowledge of your own offense. So start out by not using Azami at all, and find common spots where people like to start pressing buttons. Once you have a feeling for that, you start your process of using Azami a lot, to see when it is rewarding and when it's not. It is at this point where you start developing your own playstyle with regards to Azami. For my second tip, keep it simple. Baiken has many moves and many techniques, and it's important to start with vital ones and stay away from many complex techniques at first. I like to imagine that Baiken is a Swiss Army knife. She has a tool to deal with any situation, but a knife is overall more useful than a nail file. So don't start by learning how to TKO Zansen, Kira and IED Tatami, using every Azami follow-up, or grind optimized double dust loops. You start simple, like throw mix-ups instead of grinding your Zansen. To get a good idea on things to learn first, feel free to ask around on the Baiken Discord. For my third tip, don't play versus Potemkin. For my third tip, the most important thing to realize about Baiken is that she is a character that punishes the opponent for trying to approach recklessly, while being forced to take some risks to approach herself. The first part is the most important, so here are some vital techniques to start with. Instant air backdash tatami and backjump tatami. Your safest tatamis because they cover a lot of space and are hard to contest. Replace tatami with jump slash to beat anything that would beat tatami. Experiment with throwing out kabari, the claw, and tetsu, the S follow-up. Lastly, don't feel too bad about playing lame, even without a life lead. Guilty Gear players are often impatient and you don't really need to worry about the timer till it reaches like 20 seconds. Alright, that should do it for the beginner Baiken tips. Let's see what else I can change about this script. Huh? Hang on. Hello? What's wrong? What do you mean they broke through the front line? Ah, fuck. I need to go.
Whew, wondered what that was all about. Hope you enjoyed it though. We're at the end of the video. I want to thank Squid Guy for the tips. Very helpful. One of the reasons that my Baiken got as good as it got, it was 100% to him. I don't think I would have even half decent Baiken if it wasn't for him. Like, not even kidding. So if you're a beginner newbie Baiken, you know, you can always head to the Baiken Discord. He's usually there. You'll be able to get all the help you need. There are a bunch of really helpful dudes in there. Also guys, I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. I'm gonna end this in like kind of a bittersweet note. It was fun doing it. However, it's a lot of time investment and I don't honestly have the time to be dedicating to this. So instead of just uploading videos super often, you know, once every 2 weeks, it's already hard for me. I'm just gonna try to be doing a bit, maybe longer videos, but that will take longer to be released. I wouldn't say essays, but just, you know, just general stuff. I don't know, giving my thoughts about stuff and such. If you're interested in that, you can always sub to my YouTube and follow me on Twitch and on Twitter, as I already have a nice schedule which I'm gonna post down in the comments. So I hope you guys have a great day, evening or night, depending on where you are, and see you next time guys. Take care.